Tackle today. Matt and Mark Justice from Tackle Trading bring you all the charts, the news, the analysis so that you can be informed in a concise manner each and every day. We have RSP and Dow breakouts on very clean charts, inflationary data that is supportive of future Fed cuts. Matt, let's start with those technicals, looking at a couple clean charts out there.
Yeah, when you're looking at the indexes here, kind of after a little bit of a slowing momentum week following some rapid price action from the weeks before, but maybe that's exactly what the doctor ordered, allowing the 9 EMA to catch up a little bit to the S&P. You're seeing a little bit of a secondary breakout following the high base this week. And when you do look at the index, you kind of see where the best pricing is, where the best charts are, but it really is a stock pickers market. It's kind of the markets are still running on a little bit of the exact same gasoline. Q's breaking out yesterday, a little bit of hesitation here today. But the chart of the day, when you are looking at the indexes, is the combination of the Dow Jones, which is breaking out of an extremely clean high base. Obviously, you're looking at a cyclical move when you do have the Dow Jones breaking out here today. IWM confirming off that bull flag as well. Both IWM with the confirmation of the bull flag, bullish retracement, in conjunction with the Dow Jones breaking out. Both of those two look pretty good on the index side of the equation, the Qs and the SPY. They don't look as clean from a pure technical perspective, but the indexes are all kind of humming on the same gasoline today. As we end the week, you definitely like the Dow. You definitely like IWM components with their confirmation candles here today.
Yeah, they're very, very pretty charts. We're going to break down all of
If
the
they
tech.
close, that is. But
It's fair enough.
had to throw that out there. Had to
Fair
throw the
enough.
confirmation disclaimer out there.
Clean charts. Be surprised if they didn't close with how clean they are on positive economic news. Listen, inflation. We've had some upticks lately, right? Just one little couple data points, little anticipation coming into today's PCE numbers. That anticipation will fall dramatically as month over month numbers came in lower than expected, breaking that little mini trend that we had of hotter inflationary numbers earlier the month with the CPI and PPI. You see rate cut expectations jumping this morning on that data. Uh, Pretty good for the narrative that more cuts are coming if there were any doubt, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, and this kind of goes with what Waller said last Friday. He said the reason that he agreed on the point 0.5 cut and the little bit of the softer dovish language in the guidance was because they had further progression on the inflationary side. And this week, I mean, when you look at the totality of the evidence this week, just from an economic perspective, and we did have quite a bit of economic reports this week. It does pick up in terms of the importance next week with labor, but you had a tremendous amount of just pure economic reports this week, and it was mixed on the economic side up until you started getting into Wednesday and Thursday. And then Wednesday and Thursday had a pretty good economic reporting sessions. New home sales came in as a positive. For example, on Wednesday, GDP initial claims were both positive on, as well as durable goods positive on Thursday. And then on Friday, you got just what the doctor ordered on the inflationary side. You got a 0.1 versus the 0.2 expectation. And the Fed certainly does, from a data perspective, they certainly do have their argument in the cutting cycle. And it's been positive on the inflationary side. It's been positive on the economic side ever since the Fed did make that announcement from a week and a half ago.
Yeah, absolutely. While we're following the macro and the labor market news next week, we're going to highlight all this in the newsletter, the importance of the labor market narrative. But while the macro continues, we always have individual stock stories. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, a couple stocks in the news here today. First and foremost, Costco did have their earnings day here today. A little bit of a gap down, but we'll look at their chart here in a second. Bristol Myers was also in the news as they did get some approval on some of their drugs. And then on Dollar General in the news as they get a downgrade from Citigroup. And it's a downgrade that I felt was really, really interesting in the sense that I agreed with it 100%. And on the dollar store, and not just Dollar General, but the dollar stores in general, they basically talked about the downgrades in the dollar companies because of the pricing power that Walmart has in this environment that they never had in previous cycles. And we've seen that play a role as Walmart's up, and the Dollar General stores are down, 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 down. When you do look at this from a technical perspective, let's take a look at Costco very quickly. A little bit of a gap down on Costco as they did come through with a 515 handle. Revenue grew 1% year over year. Those are just slight beats against a top end of the trend. And whenever you have a situation where you do not provide guidance and you have some slight beats at the top end of a trend, usually the path of least resistance is a little bit down. And that's what we did see on Costco. Not too crazy, not too volatile, not too concerning. The weekly chart still held. You do have some general slowing momentum in the late stage of this trend as you see that big upward movement in price, smaller upward movement in price, even smaller upward movement in price. As you're getting up, you start to see this slow down a little bit. Gap down on earnings got a little bit of concern. Costco, that might be an indication that at $900, you might be wanting to split your shares coming up soon. That's been very popular, obviously, on high dollar stocks this year. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about Bristol Myers as they were in the news, and they've been fighting through a little bit of what we call at Tackle Trading a mid-tier breakout opportunity when you're not coming from the low tier, i.e. the reversal, and you catch a little bit down the road from a developing of a trend perspective. You see this on the weekly chart and you like that situation, getting above all your moving averages on the weekly chart, entering into a pretty decent pocket there. You also come out to the monthly chart, a little bit of a V shape, getting back up above that 200 monthly moving average. And so you look at the daily chart, breaking out on some positive news. Bristol Myers looking pretty decent from a technical, has a little bit of a fundamental catalyst on the approval of their drug. And then, like we talked about, the combination of Dollar General took the news on the downgrade pretty good, but we are talking about a company that has been absolutely butchered in the last couple of years. And on the flip side of the equation, Walmart, well, they have been the benefit of that butchering out of the dollar stores as Walmart is just up. Their pricing power is king, queen, and country. There is no doubt in this inflationary situation. And Walmart's been really, really good on that front. From stocks in the news, that's all we got for today.
And when we get to global markets here, gold stalling a little bit on a Friday after a really nice run. Bitcoin attempting to break out, which is probably the most interesting chart. Fire through some commodity and crypto charts for us, Matt.
Yeah, commodities been looking pretty good over the course of the last week or so. Obviously, with gold, you're seeing a little bit of hesitation with gold. We've been tracking this all week in the traders lounge. Just got a little bit of an overextended situation and a secondary pattern development. And secondary pattern development is extremely important. We talk about it all the time because it gets us in the frame of mind of exactly what we need to see, where we're at on that chart. And secondary pattern development is typically seen when you're at a very important resistance level, you're at a very important support level if you're looking on the bear side, and or you're at some overextended situation. And I got gold overextended here, showing a little bit of slowing momentum in this wave of gold. Doesn't have a flaw on the longer term side of the equation, just a little bit of hesitation on that daily chart as you are slightly overextended. Silver here just developing a really good breakout opportunity up here around that 3270 level. When you are looking at the futures contract, you come over here to SLV, you can see it a little bit cleaner. You got a level of resistance right around the 29.5 level. That is an extremely important level of resistance. And you got the hesitation, 3-4 days of hesitation right there. This looks pretty good from a potential breakout in silver. When it does break out, you look at the longer term charts, the 3-year weekly doesn't really tell you because you got to go out a little bit more time and you see how it just starts opening up a little bit there. Silver certainly could play catch up in this, specifically in this situation where you got gold a little bit overextended. Obviously, silver is a little bit overextended, but you got this multiple time frame situation on silver that's developing. A breakout would lead, in my estimation, to a little bit of catch up there. And then on the copper side of the equation, you've just had liftoff, honestly, with the Chinese news this week. Everything got overextended really, really, really quickly on the copper side of the equation. And so you're just dialing that in as well. Two popular companies that tackle trading to kind of track on those types of things. FCX at a resistance level right now. You would certainly want to see development there. And then on the other copper side of the equation, Southern Copper, you can see kind of how this Chinese news just really blasted off the copper side of the equation. And obviously, because Chinese economic news, especially on the stimulus with the bazooka side of the equation, typically has a really good bullish move on the copper side. And we certainly have seen that this week. Now,
Absolutely.
last, certainly not least right now, is the Bitcoin
I was
situation.
going to say, listen, you didn't want to go to church heading into the
No, no, no,
weekend.
no. You're wrong on that one. I broke this one down in the lounge yesterday for about 10 minutes with Coach Greg, and both of us were on the buy side of the equation there. Both of us were liking a short-term trade here yesterday in the Traders Lounge. We are not surprised in any capacity to see this upward movement in price. So I apologize for forgetting to go through it on my commodity side of the equation. But when you look at IBIT here, we broke this down yesterday. Nice little breakout yesterday. Continuation follow through here today on IBIT. We don't have the options yet, but hopefully we get those fairly soon. On the pure Bitcoin side of the equation, you're getting back up above some degree of trend lines here, and it does look like the best open air environment that you've had in a little bit. Now, a little bit of context. I would not say the open air environment on Bitcoin is the same as the open air environment on, for example, that mid-tier opportunity on Bristol Myers, the mid-tier opportunity on silver right now. But this is the best look that Bitcoin has had from a technical perspective in a little bit of time. But it does go without saying that Bitcoin has a tendency to be extremely sensitive to news, extremely volatile. And so you know what you're dealing with. But I do think this is the best technical look Bitcoin has had in quite some time, frankly.
Listen, we got a busy Friday ahead of us as we prepare the tackle trading newsletter. Matt and I literally work all day from the start of the day to the finish when we release it later tonight. It's a great time. Lots going on. This was a busy week in the market. We're going to break it all down in a concise manner in that newsletter. It is a world-class newsletter. If you go to tackletrading.com right now, sign up for that 15-day free trial, you get it, the traders report, and get attend to all of our live content for the next couple of weeks. Go sign up for that trial. It's a great community. Sign up.